Welcome to Secret of the Zodiac. If you're here, you're probably curious about Capricorns. And trust me, you're in for a real eye-opener today. Now let's get straight to the point. Betraying a Capricorn is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, and it's not something you'll easily recover from. These individuals may appear calm, collected, and even distant at times, but underneath that cool exterior lies a loyalty and sense of dedication that's unparalleled. When you earn their trust, it's a bond that feels unbreakable, and they'll stand by you through thick and thin. But if you break that trust, you can expect nothing less than severe consequences, and more often than not, they'll make sure you regret it. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you, but rather to give you a heads up about the strength of a Capricorn's integrity. Their reputation for being level-headed and patient isn't just a stereotype, it's part of their essence. They approach life with a slow and steady mindset, taking their time to weigh every decision carefully. But that doesn't mean they're naive. Capricorns are no strangers to betrayal, and they've learned the hard way how to protect themselves. So if you think you can slip under the radar and get away with it, think again. Their radar is sharp, and once they realize they've been betrayed, they will never look at you the same way again. In fact, once a Capricorn feels that sting of betrayal, it's like a switch flips. They'll assess the situation carefully, and from that moment, you'll notice a shift in their behavior. They won't rush into action. Instead, they'll take their time, plotting their next move with precision. So what happens when a Capricorn decides it's time to act? Number one, they have a long memory. When it comes to betrayal, Capricorns don't forget. And I mean they really don't forget. If you've ever been around a Capricorn and tried to pull a fast one on them, you might think you've gotten away with it. But trust me, they've likely filed it away in their mind, and it's not going anywhere. One of the most common traits of a Capricorn is their ability to remember even the smallest details. They have a mind like a steel trap, and it doesn't matter how much time passes. Once they've been hurt or betrayed, that memory is etched in their consciousness, often for life. What makes this particularly dangerous is how Capricorns seem so composed on the outside. They have a remarkable ability to mask their emotions and avoid drama. You might think that just because they didn't react immediately or make a scene, you got away with your actions. But don't be fooled. Just because they're not shouting from the rooftops or confronting you on the spot doesn't mean they've forgotten. They're quietly processing, analyzing, and keeping track of every little detail. Capricorns may not show their anger or disappointment right away, but this doesn't mean they're not feeling it. They'll remember what you did, how you made them feel, and how you betrayed their trust, and they'll be keeping that in the back of their minds, always. It's not just about a single moment of betrayal, but the accumulation of how that betrayal makes them feel in the long run. When you cross a Capricorn, the impact doesn't disappear. It lingers and festers. And every time they think about it, they'll feel the sting again, just as fresh as the moment it happened. And trust me, as time goes on, they only get better at recognizing these moments, which means they'll be more cautious when dealing with you in the future. Imagine this. A Capricorn walks away from a betrayal, seemingly unaffected. They seem unbothered, moving on with their life, but inside, they are taking mental notes. They are calculating the trust they lost and what it will take to regain it if that's even possible. While they may not say anything to you, they'll quietly observe your actions and weigh whether or not you're worthy of their trust again. And here's the kicker. Capricorns won't tell you that they remember. They won't make it obvious. Instead, they will quietly distance themselves from you, creating an emotional barrier that you might never notice until it's too late. Once they close that door, it's very difficult to reopen it. So why is this such a big deal? Because by the time you realize the Capricorn has moved on from you, they've already made up their mind about the situation. The damage has been done, and there's no easy way back. It's like they've built a wall around their heart, one brick at a time, and now that wall is strong. It's not just about one betrayal, it's about the trust that was shattered, and that trust will never be the same again. If you think you can just say sorry and everything will go back to normal, you're in for a big surprise. Number two, loyalty is everything to them. If there's one thing Capricorns value above all else, it's loyalty. This is not just a passing preference or something they look for in their relationships. It's a core aspect of who they are. Loyalty in the Capricorn world is the foundation upon which everything else is built. This is what makes betrayal hit them so hard. It's not just about the act of deception itself. It's about the violation of a bond they take incredibly seriously. When you betray a Capricorn, you're not just betraying them, you're betraying their trust in the very essence of what they hold most dear. Capricorns are the types of people who will have your back no matter what. They'll go to the ends of the earth to help you if you're loyal to them. When they form relationships, whether it's friendship, family, or romance, they do so with a deep sense of commitment. They're in it for the long haul, and they expect the same level of dedication and devotion from others. So, when that loyalty is broken, it feels like the very ground beneath them has crumbled. It's not something they take lightly, and it's not something they can easily move past. Loyalty is not just an abstract concept to a Capricorn. It's something they embody every day in their actions. They are consistent, reliable, and trustworthy. And when they choose to give their loyalty to someone, it's not given lightly. They don't just throw around their trust and faith on a whim. It's earned. So if you betray that loyalty, you're not just hurting their feelings, you're breaking a bond that took time, effort, and genuine care to establish. The impact of betraying a Capricorn is that much worse because of how hard they work to be loyal. You see, Capricorns are not impulsive or whimsical in their decision-making. They don't enter relationships casually. They weigh the pros and cons, they look at the long-term picture, and they make their choices carefully. And when you break that trust, you're showing them that all of their careful consideration meant nothing to you. That's a wound that doesn't heal quickly. This deep sense of loyalty also means that Capricorns hold themselves to the same high standards. They expect loyalty, but they also give it. If they say they're going to be there for you, they mean it. This is why betrayal cuts them so deeply. It's not just the fact that they were hurt, it's the fact that someone they trusted, someone they invested in, was willing to throw that loyalty aside so easily. When you break the trust of a Capricorn, you're not just breaking their heart, you're also breaking the very foundation of what they believe to be essential in relationships. And once that trust is broken, it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild. A Capricorn will never forget that betrayal, and they will never fully trust you again in the same way. Number 3, they don't tolerate weakness. One of the things that makes Capricorns stand out is their incredible strength, both mentally and emotionally. They are warriors at heart, determined and unshakable in the face of adversity. For Capricorns, weakness, particularly the kind displayed by others, is something they simply do not tolerate. It's not just about physical strength, but more about the mental and emotional fortitude to handle whatever life throws at you. And when you betray a Capricorn, they see it as a reflection of your weakness. You see, Capricorns believe that life is full of challenges, obstacles, and tough decisions. They understand that we all face hardships, but the way you handle them is what truly defines you. For them, facing problems head-on, without hesitation or fear, is a mark of strength. So when you betray them, whether it's a lie, a broken promise, or an act of disloyalty, Capricorns interpret that as a failure to show the strength and maturity they expect from those close to them. They see it as a sign of weakness, and that's not something they will tolerate. They hold people to the highest standards because they hold themselves to those same standards. To them, weakness isn't just a flaw, it's a failure of character. This mentality shapes how Capricorns view the world. They don't expect things to come easily, and they certainly don't believe in shortcuts. If you can't stand up for your commitments, if you can't be strong enough to follow through with what you say you will do, they will lose respect for you. Betrayal, to them, is the ultimate form of weakness. It shows them that you lack the strength to stand by your word, and once that respect is lost, it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to earn it back. Capricorns are fiercely self-reliant. They don't expect others to carry them through tough times, nor will they rely on anyone to get them out of a jam. They've learned over time that the best way to succeed is to build your own resilience and never depend too much on others. When you betray them, they won't just be hurt. They'll see it as a sign that you lack the same independence and integrity they pride themselves on. They'll feel as though you couldn't stand up for the relationship or friendship that was built on mutual respect, and they'll lose faith in your ability to handle difficult situations. For a Capricorn, seeing weakness in others is a huge turnoff, and they won't hesitate to distance themselves from anyone who exhibits that kind of behavior. This doesn't mean Capricorns don't understand vulnerability or imperfection. On the contrary, they are fully aware that everyone has weaknesses. What they can't tolerate is dishonesty, indecision, and the inability to own up to your actions. If you can't take responsibility for your mistakes, especially after betraying them, they'll see that as an even greater weakness, and once they spot that weakness in you, they'll withdraw emotionally. You won't even know what hit you. The Capricorn who once opened up and trusted you will turn cold, distant, and unapproachable. They may never fully explain why, but you'll feel the shift in the relationship, and you'll know that you've lost them. Number 4, they are master strategists. Capricorns aren't the type to act impulsively. In fact, they are some of the most strategic thinkers of the entire zodiac. They approach every aspect of life, from their career to their personal relationships, with careful planning and foresight. So when you betray them, they don't just react in the heat of the moment. They take their time. They step back, observe, and think through the best course of action. You may think that the betrayal has passed, that everything's back to normal, but in reality, you're just waiting for the calm before the storm. What makes Capricorn so formidable is their patience and ability to plan ahead. They understand that not everything happens in the blink of an eye. They know that sometimes the best way to get what you want is to bide your time and wait for the perfect opportunity. If you've wronged a Capricorn, rest assured that they are already plotting their next move. But here's the thing, you won't even know they're doing it. Capricorns are masters of subtlety. They won't announce their plans, and they certainly won't broadcast their feelings. Instead, they'll quietly and methodically assess your every move, analyzing every action, and waiting for the right moment to strike. For example, when a Capricorn is betrayed, they might not confront the issue head-on immediately. Instead, they'll gather information, perhaps observing how you react to certain situations, or how you handle pressure. They'll be watching for any weakness in your behavior that they can exploit to their advantage. It's not that they're out for revenge, it's simply their way of ensuring they are never caught off guard again. Capricorns don't like surprises, especially when they come from those they trust. So, if you've betrayed them, don't expect them to forget it or let it slide. Instead, they'll work in silence, making sure that their next steps are well calculated and effective. It's not always about revenge, though. Capricorns have a long-term view of life, and they often aim for resolutions that will prevent further betrayal. They are not about quick, rash decisions. Instead, they'll look at the broader picture and plan for the future. When they cut someone out of their life after betrayal, they've already weighed the consequences and come to the conclusion that it's the best course of action. They know that keeping toxic people around can only bring more problems, so they act with strategic precision to eliminate the negative energy from their lives. But it's not just about cutting people off. Capricorns are incredibly intelligent and emotionally aware. They'll learn from the betrayal, using the experience to refine their judgment and decision-making in the future. And this is where their true power lies. They don't just move on from betrayal. They use it as an opportunity to grow stronger, sharper, and more resilient. They'll make sure that the next time they deal with someone, they're even more prepared to spot deception and dishonesty from a mile away. They'll be ready, and you won't even see them coming. Number 5, they don't forget the damage you've done. Capricorns are known for their resilience, but that doesn't mean they forget when they've been hurt. In fact, it's the opposite. They will always remember the damage caused by betrayal. This isn't about holding on to anger or bitterness, but rather a deep sense of emotional processing that shapes how they move forward. You see, Capricorns don't just bounce back from betrayal by sweeping it under the rug. They take time to internalize the situation, analyze it, and understand the lessons that come with it. The betrayal becomes a chapter in their life story, and while they may not dwell on it every single day, they will never forget how it made them feel. When you betray a Capricorn, you're not just breaking their trust in that moment, you're leaving a scar that they carry with them. Capricorns are not quick to forgive and forget because they value trust so deeply. So when it's broken, it's not something they can easily erase from their memory. It's not about being petty or seeking revenge. It's about acknowledging that their trust was violated, and it's something that will take a long time to heal. They may forgive, but the sense of betrayal will always be there, quietly lingering in the background of their interactions with you. This is where Capricorn's ability to guard their emotions becomes crucial. Even though they may have forgiven you, that doesn't mean they are comfortable opening up to you the same way they did before. They'll keep a part of themselves guarded, aware that you've already shown them that you're capable of breaking their trust. Every time they interact with you moving forward, there will be a subtle reminder of what happened, a reminder that they can never fully let go of because it was a moment that left a mark on their heart. What's most fascinating about Capricorns, though, is how they handle the pain of betrayal. They don't wear their emotions on their sleeves, and they don't seek pity or sympathy from others. Instead, they quietly process the hurt, using it as fuel to improve themselves. They are introspective beings who take each experience and apply it to their personal growth. So while they may not forget the betrayal, they will use it as a stepping stone to become even stronger. It's almost as if every betrayal makes them more invincible, more self-assured, and more aware of who they can trust in the future. If you've ever wondered why it feels like a Capricorn can move on from betrayal, but still keep their distance, this is why. They don't let the betrayal define them, but they also don't forget it. It's a part of their emotional evolution, and they take it with them as they continue to grow and learn. They become more cautious, more discerning, and more protective of their heart. But the pain will always linger in the back of their mind, reminding them that not everyone can be trusted, and that lesson stays with them forever. Number 6, they will cut you off completely. When a Capricorn decides to cut someone off after a betrayal, they do it with a sense of finality. This is not something they take lightly, but once they've made up their mind that you're no longer worthy of their trust or time, they will completely remove you from their life. There's no halfway, no leaving the door slightly ajar for a possible reconciliation. Capricorns don't entertain toxic relationships, and when they feel that their trust has been betrayed, they close the door without hesitation. The key here is understanding just how much Capricorns value their time and energy. They don't waste either on people who have proven themselves untrustworthy. If they've been betrayed, they view it as a reflection of your inability to respect their boundaries and the bond you once shared. It's not just a personal slight, it's an affront to everything they believe in: loyalty, respect, and honor. Once those things are compromised, Capricorns see no reason to continue investing in someone who can't offer the same. When a Capricorn cuts you off, it's often done without warning. They don't need to explain themselves, and they certainly don't need to make a scene. Capricorns are direct and practical, and if they've decided that someone is no longer a part of their life, they move forward without hesitation. You might not even know what happened until it's too late. They'll stop answering calls, ignore messages, and gradually phase you out of their life. It's not a dramatic goodbye. It's simply a quiet, decisive shift. You'll realize that they've made their decision, and that's the end of it. This is what makes the Capricorn cutoff so powerful. It's not something done out of anger or impulsivity. It's a well-thought-out decision that comes after careful consideration. Capricorns don't act rashly, and they don't waste energy on people who no longer deserve their time. Once they've been hurt, they see no reason to keep someone around who doesn't share their values. They will remove you from their life and move on, focusing on building stronger, more trusting relationships with people who have earned their loyalty. This decision can be devastating for anyone who has been cut off, especially if they didn't see it coming. Capricorns don't typically give second chances after betrayal, and the emotional distance they create is often permanent. It's not a game to them, it's a matter of self-respect. They won't keep someone in their life just for the sake of it, and they certainly won't keep someone who has shown they cannot be trusted. The result of this complete cutoff is a sense of emotional isolation for the person who betrayed them. You may be left wondering why they've distanced themselves, but the Capricorn has already made up their mind. They don't look back or dwell on past relationships that no longer serve them. Once the trust is broken, there's no room for that person in their world. The Capricorn moves on, leaving no space for regret or reconciliation. It's a clean break, and there's no turning back. Number 7, they are realists. No room for excuses. Capricorns are realists to their core. They don't get swept up in fantasies or allow themselves to be distracted by idealistic thinking. When you betray a Capricorn, you can't expect them to respond with any kind of fairy tale reasoning. They're not going to forgive you just because you didn't mean it or because things went wrong. Capricorns see life for what it truly is. Raw, sometimes harsh, but always an opportunity to grow and learn from mistakes. When you betray them, they won't entertain excuses or try to paint the situation with any rosy colors. They will take the situation for what it is. And this is where things get tricky for anyone who's crossed them. One of the reasons why Capricorns struggle with excuses is because they believe in personal responsibility. They understand that life isn't always fair, but they also believe that everyone has a responsibility to take ownership of their actions. When you betray a Capricorn, you're telling them that you're not taking responsibility for your own choices. You might try to justify your actions, saying it was a mistake or that you had no other choice, but Capricorns won't buy into that narrative. To them, betrayal is a conscious decision. It's a choice you made, no matter the circumstances, and they will hold you accountable for it. This lack of tolerance for excuses is part of what makes Capricorn such a strong and grounded sign. They don't allow themselves to get caught up in the emotional highs and lows of life. They keep their feet firmly planted on the ground, always analyzing situations logically and from a realistic point of view. When you offer excuses after betraying them, Capricorns see that as a weakness, a lack of maturity and honesty. They will judge you not by your words, but by your actions. For them, it's actions that speak louder than any justification you can provide. In a way, Capricorns almost have a zero-tolerance policy for anything that doesn't meet their high standards. If you can't take responsibility for your mistakes and be straightforward with them, they will see it as a sign that you're not worthy of their time and trust. They value transparency, honesty, and integrity above all else. Excuses only create more distance, and that's something Capricorns aren't willing to accept. So, if you think you can get away with explaining away your betrayal, think again. They'll see through it, and the damage will be done. This aspect of Capricorn's personality also means that they don't waste time dwelling on emotions like guilt or self-doubt. Once they've been betrayed, they won't get caught up in wondering if they could have done something differently, or if they should have given you a second chance. Instead, they will analyze the situation rationally, and they will decide what action to take based on that analysis. That's why when you betray them, it's so hard to get back into their good graces. There's no room for emotional manipulation, and there's certainly no room for excuses. Number 8, they are self-sufficient and don't need anyone to succeed. One of the most powerful aspects of a Capricorn's character is their incredible self-sufficiency. They don't rely on others to get ahead in life, and they certainly don't need anyone to validate their worth. Capricorns are fiercely independent and determined, and when you betray them, you're not just damaging a relationship, you're challenging their independence. This is where things get tricky for anyone who thinks they can regain a Capricorn's trust after crossing them. Capricorns don't need anyone, they don't need you, and this fact makes them incredibly strong in the face of betrayal. For a Capricorn, success is about personal achievement and hard work, not about depending on others. They set their own standards, they work tirelessly to meet them, and they pride themselves on their ability to make things happen without help. So, when you betray a Capricorn, it's not just about losing their trust. It's about showing them that you aren't someone they can rely on, and that's something they can't tolerate. Capricorns can thrive on their own. They don't need anyone's approval or support to succeed, and this makes them particularly difficult to get back into a relationship with once they've been hurt. What's even more striking about Capricorns is that they're not driven by ego or the need for recognition. They're motivated by the desire to prove to themselves that they can achieve their goals no matter what. They don't need anyone to tell them they're doing a good job. They already know. They don't need anyone to hold their hand or offer them emotional support. They're perfectly capable of standing on their own 2 feet. And because of this, when you betray them, you're not just breaking their trust, you're also undermining their independence. You're showing them that they can't rely on you, and that's something they won't forgive easily. This self-sufficiency makes Capricorns incredibly resilient in the face of betrayal. When they are hurt, they don't crumble. They don't fall into despair or let the betrayal define them. Instead, they rise stronger, more determined to prove that they can succeed without the person who has wronged them. They won't let you hold them back or stop them from reaching their goals. They will keep moving forward, cutting out anything or anyone that doesn't serve their higher purpose. This is why when you betray a Capricorn, you can almost feel like you've lost a part of their world forever. The worst part for you, as someone who has betrayed them, is that you won't be able to come back into their life with ease. Capricorns won't beg for your forgiveness. They won't chase after you or try to convince you to stay. They'll simply remove you from their lives and continue to thrive without you. And because of their strong, independent nature, they'll be better off without you. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn when dealing with a Capricorn. They don't need anyone, especially not someone who has shown them disloyalty. Number 9, they will learn from their experience. When a Capricorn is betrayed, they don't just sit around feeling sorry for themselves. They don't wallow in regret or let the situation consume them. Instead, they analyze, reflect, and learn. Capricorns are practical, self-aware, and deeply introspective individuals. They understand that life is full of challenges and obstacles, but it's how you respond to those challenges that truly matters. So, when someone betrays them, they take the experience as a valuable lesson, one that will only make them stronger and more discerning in the future. This is one of the most powerful traits of a Capricorn. Their ability to learn from every experience, especially the painful ones. They are not ones to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. When you betray them, they will spend time processing what went wrong, what they missed, and what red flags they may have overlooked. They'll ask themselves hard questions. Was it something I missed? Was I too trusting? What can I do differently next time to avoid this? For a Capricorn, this self-reflection isn't just about looking inward, it's about actively improving and becoming a stronger version of themselves. The impact of this is significant. Capricorns have a unique ability to turn pain into wisdom. Where others may become bitter, distrustful, or cynical, Capricorns tend to grow in ways that protect them from future betrayal. They use each painful experience as an opportunity to sharpen their instincts and strengthen their boundaries. They become more careful with their trust, more precise in their decisions, and more strategic in their interactions with others. For anyone who has ever crossed a Capricorn, the consequences can feel permanent. The lessons they learn from betrayal shape how they move forward in their relationships, both personal and professional. Once a Capricorn has been hurt, they will never let it happen again. They'll be more guarded, more cautious, and less likely to give their trust away freely. But rather than closing themselves off emotionally, Capricorns use these lessons to build healthier, more secure relationships in the future. They learn to spot dishonesty and betrayal from a mile away, and they become experts at setting firm boundaries that protect them from being hurt again. If you've ever wondered why Capricorns seem to have such a sixth sense when it comes to people's true intentions, it's because they've learned from their experiences. Each betrayal they face only makes them more perceptive, more in tune with their instincts, and better at navigating the complexities of human behavior. So, while you might think a Capricorn has forgiven and moved on from a betrayal, the truth is, they've internalized the lesson and are stronger for it. Number 10, they protect their reputation relentlessly. A Capricorn's reputation is everything to them. It's not just about how others perceive them, but about the integrity they've built over years of hard work, commitment, and consistency. To a Capricorn, their reputation is a reflection of their values, their work ethic, and their sense of self-respect. So when you betray them, it's not just a personal attack, it's an attack on their character, and that's something they cannot and will not tolerate. Capricorns are known for their careful and deliberate approach to life. They don't rush into things, and they certainly don't make decisions without thinking them through. This level-headedness extends to how they build their reputation. Every action, every word, and every decision they make is done with the intention of maintaining a strong and respectable image. They know that the way others see them has a direct impact on their success, so they go to great lengths to ensure that their reputation is never tarnished. When someone betrays them, Capricorns take it very personally. It's not just about the hurt they feel. It's about how the betrayal might affect their public image. They will take steps to protect themselves, to ensure that the situation doesn't reflect poorly on them. This could mean quietly removing themselves from the situation, cutting ties with the person who wronged them, or even taking legal or professional action to safeguard their reputation. They understand that in the world they navigate, their reputation is one of their most valuable assets, and they will go to great lengths to protect it. What makes this aspect of Capricorn's personality so powerful is how proactive they are about maintaining their reputation. Unlike some signs who might ignore the potential fallout from betrayal or let their emotions dictate their actions, Capricorns take a pragmatic approach. They don't let their emotions cloud their judgment when it comes to protecting their image. They won't allow anyone to use their name in vain or spread lies that could damage the reputation they've worked so hard to build. For anyone who has ever been on the receiving end of a Capricorn's wrath after a betrayal, you'll know that they won't hesitate to cut ties and move on. But it's not just a matter of emotional distance. They will ensure that the betrayal doesn't affect how others view them. They'll take steps to maintain their dignity and integrity, even if it means severing ties with someone who once held a place in their life. For Capricorns, their reputation is not negotiable. It's something they've earned through years of hard work and dedication, and they will not allow anyone to compromise it. Number 11, they don't waste time on drama. If there's one thing Capricorns truly despise, it's unnecessary drama. Life, for them, is about focus, determination, and working toward long-term goals. Drama, whether it's emotional manipulation, petty conflicts, or heated arguments, is simply not part of the Capricorn agenda. They are all about efficiency and results, and anything that gets in the way of that is quickly dismissed. So, when you betray a Capricorn, you can be sure that the fallout will not be some drawn-out emotional spectacle. Instead, they will remove you from their life with the same calm precision they apply to every other aspect of their existence. What makes Capricorn's dislike for drama so impactful is how effortlessly they can cut through the noise. When you betray them, they won't get bogged down in emotional outbursts, guilt trips, or guilt-induced apologies. They will see through the theatrics and get straight to the point. For Capricorns, there's no need to make a scene. They believe that if you've wronged them, the consequences are clear, and no amount of drama will change that. Capricorns are masters at creating distance when necessary, and they won't hesitate to do so in order to preserve their peace of mind and focus on what truly matters. Once the betrayal occurs, they will not engage in the emotional turmoil that comes with trying to fix things through dramatic means. There is no begging, no pleading, no guilt-laden messages. The Capricorn will take a step back, assess the situation, and quietly remove the toxic energy from their life. If you're waiting for them to react with anger or frustration, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Instead, they'll simply move on. Capricorns know that drama doesn't serve them, and they will not waste their precious time trying to justify their actions or elicit apologies. They understand that the best way to handle betrayal is to quietly cut ties and move forward, focusing on their own growth rather than being dragged down by someone else's emotional chaos. This ability to avoid drama also makes Capricorns incredibly resilient in the face of conflict. While other signs might find themselves tangled in endless emotional disputes or feel compelled to defend themselves, Capricorns don't waste energy on proving their worth or making others see their side. They already know their value, and they don't need anyone to validate it. If you've betrayed them, they won't waste time trying to make you understand their perspective. Instead, they will simply walk away, cutting off the source of negativity and continuing to work toward their goals. For anyone who has ever tried to draw a Capricorn back into a dramatic situation after betrayal, you'll quickly find that it's a lost cause. They will not allow themselves to be a part of the chaos. If you've wronged them, they'll give you the space to reflect on your actions, and they won't allow you to pull them back into a destructive emotional cycle. It's not that they don't care about the relationship or the situation. It's that they care more about preserving their peace of mind and maintaining their focus on what truly matters to them. Drama simply doesn't fit into that equation. Number 12. They will never forget how you made them feel. One of the most profound aspects of Capricorn's character is how deeply they feel things, even though they don't always express it outwardly. When you betray a Capricorn, it's not just about the actions you took. It's about how you made them feel. Capricorns have a keen sense of emotional intelligence, and they are profoundly affected by how others treat them. When someone betrays them, it cuts deeper than just the act itself. It affects their trust in people, their sense of self-worth, and their ability to see the world the same way again. While Capricorns may not always show their emotions on the surface, the way you make them feel will leave a lasting impact. They may not wear their hearts on their sleeves, but inside, they process and feel every betrayal deeply. They don't easily forget the emotions attached to a situation, and how someone made them feel during that time stays with them. It's not just about the incident. It's about the sense of hurt, disappointment, and sometimes even betrayal that lingers. This feeling is something Capricorns carry with them, even if they don't talk about it or let it show. It's part of their emotional resilience, but it's also part of their emotional depth. For Capricorns, the emotional consequences of betrayal are more than just the loss of trust. They feel the weight of it in their personal sense of security. They might be able to rationalize the betrayal, but the feeling, the gut feeling, stays with them. And that is why, even though Capricorns may forgive, they will never forget. They will remember the emotional toll the betrayal took on them, and that will shape their interactions with you moving forward. This is why regaining their trust after betrayal is so difficult. You can apologize, you can try to make amends, but Capricorns won't just forget how you made them feel. They can't erase the emotional impact that your actions had on their life. They won't hold it against you forever, but the emotional residue remains. This is why they tend to build emotional walls after being betrayed. It's not just about protecting themselves from future hurt. It's about honoring their emotions and making sure they are never made to feel that way again. They know the power of their feelings and their worth, and they will not let anyone take that away from them. What's remarkable about Capricorns is their ability to use this feeling to grow stronger. They don't let betrayal define them, but they use it as a stepping stone to build even stronger boundaries and a deeper understanding of their emotional needs. They will never let themselves be hurt the same way again. Once they've learned from the experience, they carry it with them, becoming more emotionally intelligent and more aware of how they allow others to treat them. And although they might forgive, the emotional impact remains, ensuring that they never repeat the same mistake again. As we've explored throughout this video, Capricorns are one of the most resilient and strategic signs of the zodiac. They handle betrayal with a strength and intelligence that many other signs can only aspire to. Their response to being wronged isn't driven by impulsive emotions, but by their deep understanding of trust, loyalty, and self-worth. Capricorns take betrayal seriously, and once trust is broken, they are not quick to forgive. But that's not to say they don't learn and grow from these experiences. In fact, they do the opposite. They use the betrayal as fuel for their own growth, becoming even more discerning and self-sufficient in the process. Throughout the reasons we've discussed, one key takeaway is clear. Betrayal is a catalyst for change in a Capricorn's life. Instead of letting it break them, they use it to build emotional walls that protect them from further harm. They become wiser, more aware of who they can trust, and they start setting firmer boundaries in their relationships. They are realists who don't make excuses, and they will never forget how you made them feel. Once a Capricorn has been hurt, they'll reflect on the experience, learn from it, and adapt their behavior moving forward. Capricorns also understand the value of their reputation, which is why betrayal is so dangerous for them. They won't allow their reputation to be tarnished by someone who has shown disloyalty. Their response is often quiet, calculated, and swift. They'll remove toxic people from their lives without hesitation and continue to thrive on their own terms. They are self-sufficient and don't need anyone to succeed, especially not someone who has broken their trust. And although they may seem composed on the surface, their emotions run deep. When you hurt a Capricorn, you are not just breaking their trust, you are leaving a scar that will never truly fade. What makes Capricorns so powerful is that they don't just survive betrayal, they use it to their advantage. They don't waste time on drama or emotional games. They keep moving forward, focusing on their goals and learning from their experiences. This is why they are so hard to get back into the good graces of once you've betrayed them. They won't beg for your forgiveness, and they won't engage in emotional manipulations. Instead, they will quietly walk away, leaving you with nothing but the realization that you've lost someone who once valued you deeply. If you've ever found yourself on the wrong side of a Capricorn's trust, you now know how powerful their response will be. Capricorns don't just forget. They learn, grow, and make sure they never repeat the same mistake. This strength and resilience make them some of the most formidable people in the zodiac, but it also makes them incredibly selective about who they allow into their inner circle. If you've betrayed them, you will likely never have the same place in their life again. They simply don't tolerate disloyalty or weakness, and they won't allow someone who has wronged them to disrupt their hard-earned peace. But here's the thing, Capricorns are not impossible to reach or impossible to win over. They just need to see that you've changed, that you've truly learned from your mistakes, and that you can show them the loyalty they deserve. It's not about offering empty apologies or promises. It's about proving to them, through consistent actions, that you are worthy of their trust once again. And even then, it's going to take time. Capricorns value the long game. They don't rush into anything, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. If you've hurt them, they will not be in a hurry to let you back in. So what can we learn from Capricorns' response to betrayal? First and foremost, we learn that betrayal isn't something to be taken lightly. It's a breach of trust, and it can have long-lasting consequences. But we also learn that Capricorns are a great example of how to handle adversity with strength, intelligence, and resilience. Instead of allowing betrayal to define them, they use it to define their future. They set boundaries, reflect on their experiences, and grow stronger with every challenge they face. If you're a Capricorn watching this video, or if you've ever been on the receiving end of betrayal from one, you'll likely understand exactly what we've talked about. Capricorns are a unique breed, and once you've been in their inner circle, they will always hold a special place in their hearts. But if you betray them, well, you've got a long road ahead to prove your worth again.